Welcome everyone, thanks so much for joining us for the art of welcoming a community canvas. My name is Sandra Ramirez, I'm the Director of Communications here at Estrella del Paso. So tonight's event is part of Welcoming Week, and that's a national movement hosted by an organization called Welcoming America. And this week is really an opportunity for communities to celebrate and uplift their diversity and values of welcoming and inclusion for all, including immigrants. So right up our alley. So throughout this week, there have been and will continue to be resource fairs and events. Here at Estrella del Paso, we wanted to use this opportunity to showcase the beautiful culture that makes El Paso so special. A growing component of illustrating that culture is the art and artists who you will hear from today that have really been doing a lot to help make our community more vibrant. Today we have invited some of those artists to talk about their art and how El Paso, the city's culture, the people, the landscape have inspired their art. We've also asked them to share a piece of art that they believe shares a message of welcoming. On that theme, a little over 2 years ago, Estrella del Paso commissioned our stunning You Belong mural on this side of our building, so we really encourage you to stop by before the end of the evening, take a photo, really just take a look at it, it's really beautiful. So the inspiration behind that mural was for this organization and the people who work here to send a message of welcoming to the entire community. Anyone who drives by, walks by, visits, we really wanted them to feel welcome and that we are an organization who welcomes all. So with that, I wanted to invite our Executive Director, Melissa Lopez, to come say a few words behind that message and that really overall mission for our organization.
Hello everybody, thank you all so much for coming. The mural was really kind of the start of, actually I should back up further. So the piece that we have over on the wall here in the frame, that was done by a friend of ours who passed away, Ray Lujan Gaitan, Ray Lujan Gaitan. He actually made this piece for us, and it kind of started us on this journey of wanting to create art that was really tied to our mission and the work we do. We're here to help welcome immigrants. We're here to help serve them. We help them with their immigration paperwork, but ultimately we hope that we're just one step in the journey of life that helps them get to their final destination. And so the mural outside, really the idea is that you see it and you see yourself in it. So you could either be the mom in the mural or you might be the child in the mural. At the unveiling, actually, somebody was like, "Oh, is that you and your nephew?" And I'm like, "Oh, how cute." No, I wish it was, but it's not any one of us that live in this community. I'm really grateful for the artists that have come and for the kids that are gonna be showcasing their artwork that you'll hear about in a minute. I have to say, I'm a big fan of art. I have recently purchased a house, well not recently, it was purchased a long time ago, just moved into my house, and it is decorated with artwork from people like Patti Gabaldon, who I have many pieces of. Mr. Marcus, I have a number of your pieces in my office, and so art is a big part, and this is kind of one step towards us really trying to, as you walk through our office, you'll notice that our walls are a little bit dry in some places, they're just painted white walls, and so we really want to invite art back into the work that we do, because it's so symbolic and everybody sees something different in it, which is amazing. So thank you all so much for coming today. The mural really is one of the pieces that we really love, and Patrick, if that is that original piece, I might be reaching out to you for that original piece, because that's one of my favorites. So anywho, I hope that you all enjoy the evening. Thank you all for those of you that have participated, for the kids that put their artwork in. There's already a few pieces that some of us are like, oh, can we have that one? So enjoy the evening, and thank you all so much for coming and supporting our work. And thank you for participating in Welcoming Week. It's a really important week, and so we're really glad that you all are here.
So we're passing around a flyer that has a QR code if you want to scan it for the program, if you want to follow along. That also includes the artist bios and a photo of the art that they'll be showcasing today. Once we get through the speakers, there's also a student art exhibit. The students, the very talented students at our Nato Middle School provided some really, really cool art, also along the theme of welcoming. We've invited our artists to kind of jury those, and so we'll have an awards at the end. So all of that is in the program to follow along. We'll announce it so you can follow along as we go. But we want to begin with our first speaker this evening, Ashton Kaleigh. Ashton is an artist and art instructor from El Paso. Ashton teaches public paint and sip classes and private art lessons online and in person. In 2023, she illustrated her first children's book, Carmelita, by Megan O'Toole Pitts. Ashton is working on more books to come, and when she has time, Ashton also takes commissions for custom arts, such as portraits of people and pets, murals, poster album art, illustrations, and other unique requests. So today she's going to be showing a little bit more about the inspiration and message of thriving in the desert. Welcome, Ashton. Perfect.
So hi, thank you for that. Here today I'll just go through this painting, then I wanted to say a little bit more. So this painting is called Thriving in the Desert, and it depicts the rufous hummingbird, which is common in the area. And part of the reason why I chose to submit this piece is because it can be seen around town, like on electrical boxes in the heart of downtown. So it's something that you might have seen already, because it is one of my more popular pieces. And I did compare something. I'll be brief though, but I'm a little nervous, so I do have to look at my phone. So I wanted to actually talk about the importance of art and how it can be such a tool for healing and welcoming. We often think of art as a luxury, but I would like to argue that it is actually plays a critical role in what it is to be human, whether it's music or painting, and it's because it helps us connect with our fellow humans by making it available to tell stories. Whether they're good or bad, it helps us reflect on ourselves and the greater world around us. It inspires us and reminds us that there's beauty that we can find in the world, even when our own personal lives seem rather dark, or just what's going on in the world is pretty scary or dark. Without art, much of our life would boil down to simply surviving, but even surviving isn't always so simple. My mother's parents were both immigrants, one from the Philippines and one from Mexico, and they came here to build better lives for their children, to realize that American dream. And I feel very fortunate that I'm in a position now to be able to pursue art and share that with others in a way that I hope it enriches other people's lives, whether it's just putting a smile on their face, inspiring hope, or connecting with them for something that's like emotional, in any way that it can be. I do believe that it's very important to have art all around us, and for us to have it at work, at home, for children to participate in the act of making art and viewing it. And having art in public places, because it elicits thoughts and emotions, and art begs the viewer to engage in that way, breaking down any language barriers, and the simple act of viewing art welcomes you just as you are. And I think like having something like this around where you can see it in public places, because it is a common bird that you might find in our natural environment. Once you start seeing that in the wild, it's not kind of reminds you of painting and makes you feel more at home because of that recognition. And, I'm big on nature conservation too, so I think that is important, and hopefully that comes through our. Yeah, thank you.
I just want you guys to know that it was Okay, thank you, Ashton. Our next speaker, Juan Ortiz. He is various nationwide and international social justice campaigns and creative direct actions. I'm going. And today, Juan will be talking about his art, Mother of Exiles. This doesn't sound that loud, so it's up to you.
This actually started off as a conversation. They were doing a documentary about the Statue of Liberty, and it's like such an iconic image and person, that's supposed to represent all of the values of the country, and they were really delving deep into that. And the reason they had reached out is because I did a mural that depicted the Statue of Liberty as a woman of color. And it had been represented, and it's been so over-represented and saturated that people really didn't understand, and even I did, till I started really thinking of how I could use that imagery kind of to critique the culture and how women of color were being treated here in El Paso. And so, understanding that she's actually a woman of color, she's a bronze statue that was given from France, I decided to the best way, what you were talking about, having that reflected in people to understand that she's actually has a deeper meaning in that sense. She was actually given to the United States as a symbol of abolition as well when slavery ended. So she originally had chains on her feet. So there's all this underlying meaning, and one of them was, it represents so well El Paso in the sense that, women of color here are such targets of violence and family separation. So much of that was going on here because of what was all the national discourse that was happening, that I decided to make a green card for the Statue of Liberty to drive home to people that that's actually a woman of color, and that's so loaded with meaning. Because the future demographically of the United States is that women of color are actually going to be one of the biggest components of American society. And for them to for everyone to start to realize that actually the symbol of the United States in this very underlying way is actually someone that's being vilified as we speak. So for me, it was a way of turning around and under the theme of welcoming folks and having folks understand that part of what this country's history is diversity, is to have it represented in something where even the Statue of Liberty needs this to, be able to come and go because she is actually a woman of color and an immigrant. And understanding kind of the assignment, which was having people reflect and understand that this is actually the history of the United States and under all that underlying tension, both good and bad, I think is what I was aiming for. And why she's supposed to represent the mother of exiles. That's the Emma Lazarus poem at the basis of the statue that's become iconic as well. That give me your tired and hungry poor. It wasn't like give me your engineers, give me your doctors. It was very much also like give me your downtrodden, give me the people most struggling to make it where they're coming from. And that's also part of the message, that she's a brown mother of exiles as well. So anyway, thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to present.
Something really quick, if you have not seen a mural that he participated in, that actually I think depicts much of this, it's kind of a continuation, this
Yes.
is a continuation of that. It's at Grandma and what,
Waco in
In
5
Waco,
points. Yeah.
which is, if
It's
you go down
much
Pershing,
larger.
you're gonna turn right on, what, Waco?
Yeah, it's on Waco, right on the corner.
Yeah, and
It's in front of the church,
Beautiful,
that's it.
it's beautiful, and it speaks a lot to the work we do and to our community and
Yeah.
to, a lot of the issues that he was just describing.
And
So I
it was
recommend you
community
give it a
made
chance.
as well, and
Yeah.
that's kind of the base of jump off point from this as well. But you're welcome to see it, it was made by the community and it's there for public viewing. Thank you.
Okay, we want to invite our next artist up, Patti Rey Reyes. Patti Rey is a self-taught artist and creative mindfulness practitioner. Patti Rey experienced the healing benefits of art through a health crisis in 2013. Since this life-altering experience, Patti Rey has been passionate and advocates creative expression as a key element in mental health and well-being. Patti Rey is here today to talk about savoring the journey, Canicas.
Well, so Canicas came kind of like through a conversation with a good friend, and but this actually started, I want to say, before I received my citizenship. So thanks to Estrella del Paso, I am now a U.S. citizen. But prior to that, in fact, Sandra, I think you did a short story on me, and I was kind of just, my paintings, I never know what's gonna be the end result. And at the time, I was doing the first layer. I think we talked about putting on the first layer and just putting on color.
Is this the art?
Yes. Putting on the color, and as my journey in receiving my citizenship evolved, so did this painting. And this painting actually, believe it or not, I'm sure that some of the artists here can relate. The deadline was the 13th, and the 13th was when it was done. So I added more to it simply because I wanted to really just put all of my love, all of my appreciation and my energy towards the children, migrant children, because in the journey of them traveling with their parents, oftentimes, speaking of children, oftentimes they're forgotten in that journey. It's so difficult. I can't even imagine. I don't remember. I know my parents had their journey and I was part of that, but I don't remember. I was so small. But I think about the children on this journey, the chaotic surrounding that they have to go through. And I think about if they have moments of just pure innocence. And that's why I have them playing that they do, right? Even though their parents and their families are going through all this, that there's gotta be a moment where they just are in presence and they're just enjoying being children. And so that's why this came out of my heart. And of course, the monarchy butterfly is so symbolic to their journey as well. My journey, I guess you could say that, because I am a child of immigrant parents. So maybe this is what I think about. Maybe this is what I was feeling, and that now it's finally come through. So that's it.
Okay, our next speaker is Lizbeth Pineda. Lizbeth was born and raised in Ciudad Juarez, Chihuahua. She's been involved in community theater and dance projects on both sides of the border for more than 2 decades. In 2019, she started practicing several hand stitching techniques, and in 2020 started exploring more deeply the embroidery styles of Mexico and around the world. During this process, she fell in love with the possibilities of the thread and needle, creating more elaborate pieces. And that's kind of how this all started. Today, Lizbeth will be talking about her art titled EP Sunset.
Well, actually, I changed the piece. And it's not EP Sunset, it's Sea Usted Bienvenido by El Paso. So, hi, my name is Lizbeth. I'm an immigrant. My kids are gonna be first generation, and super proud because my oldest is now at college and in MSU, so we did it with her. So, voy a hablar en español. Cruzar la frontera y decidir quedarse en un lugar donde uno no nace es difícil. Es difícil. Al principio se siente como cuando uno viene de compras nada más al Paso, ¿verdad? Quiere ir a hacer vista y quiere ir uno a la tienda y quiere ir a la Walmart y a todos y todo eso, pero ya llega un punto en que toda esa emoción pues se va bajando, ¿verdad? Baja de nivel porque viene la vida, vienen los recibos que hay que pagar en dólares y que a veces el trabajo no da lo suficiente para pagar eso. Viene lidiar con la escuela y aprender un sistema de educación diferente al que uno conoce. Viene el tener que intentar aprender el sistema universitario en Estados Unidos para poder ayudar a tus jóvenes a ir a la escuela, a ir a la universidad. Viene con el saber qué hacer para atender nuestra salud, a veces teniendo que regresar a México a atenderse o de plano buscar descuentos o clínicas de apoyo aquí en Estados Unidos. Entonces, todo eso puede ser muy abrumante. It can be very, very overwhelming. Pero, de la misma manera que usted voltea a Ciudad Juárez y ve Ciudad Juárez, la Biblia, bla, 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 bla. Ok, yo lo volteé un poco a la montaña de la Estrella del Paso, a la montaña Franklin. Y yo me imaginé en mi cabeza que el cielo dibujaba con las nubes el mensaje de sea usted bienvenido. Sea usted bienvenido de donde venga, con lo que tenga, de donde venga, y pueda aquí ser el punto con el pointer, de donde partan uno y pueda crecer, pueda florecer, pueda echar nuevas raíces o continuar en el viaje hasta que uno decida sembrarse en otro lugar. Entonces, este trabajo está dedicado a todos los que hemos migrado de nuestro lugar de origen pero que seguimos en el camino para sentirnos bienvenidos, para sentirnos que esta es una casa, que este es nuestro hogar y que lo que traemos con nosotros es un tesoro y podemos hacer florecer aún más este país. Okay. Gracias.
This piece, the Torah in the glass. Welcome. I am not part of that.
Thank you all for inviting me. It's an honor to be here. And I just think that El Paso is the role model for the rest of the country and the rest of the world. There's not that many communities that's right on the border like we have, and we're so proud of all the work that you guys do here in Estrella and all the work that everybody does in this community. We really are an example that people can use as a prototype for any country that's on the border of any country. So let's give El Paso a big hand. I think I was the first person to respond to your call, right?
Very enthusiastic.
Yeah, I got it. I just immediately said, I'm there for you because bienvenidos and welcoming is what we're all about. So as I was walking through the gallery, I came upon this piece. This piece is a stained glass mural that's 6 feet by 21 feet, and it's at the Jewish temple on Stanton Street, Temple Mount Sinai. And the reason I picked it is that people don't realize that in the Old Testament, in the Torah, the Old Testament, which is observed by the Jews and the Christians and the Muslims and lots of other religions, is that more than any other commandment, it says, welcome the stranger. 34 times in the Old Testament it says, welcome the stranger. That's repeated more than the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments is just mentioned once. So welcoming the stranger. And it all goes back to Abraham, who had his little tent, and there were some strangers that came up to his tent. He invited them in, and they ended up being angels, you know, that foretold the future of the Hebrews. So in this one piece that I have here, in this side is the Adam and Eve and the animals and the stars and the birth of the world and Noah's Ark and the Tower of Babel. And this is Abraham, Isaac, and Sarah. And this is the story of Moses and the basket, the parting of the Red Sea, the Exodus out of Egypt. And the last mitzvah, the last commandment in the Old Testament, says this, is now teach this story to the children. Okay, so that's the last commandment. So it's kind of like what we're doing here today is that our welcoming spirit is something that we need to teach our kids because they don't realize what a fantastic community we actually have here on the border. My grandparents came here in 1921. They were immigrants from Syria. They were a Jewish family, spoke no English, moved into Duranguito area. Slowly they started learning Spanish before they learned English. Then my grandfather bought a little horse and buggy and they started selling dry goods, pillowcases, tablecloths, things like that. Like most of the immigrants, like the Mexican immigrants and the Lebanese immigrants and the Chinese immigrants, they were all just merchants and they all got along just fantastic. My grandma, who didn't learn how to read and write, was a midwife. In fact, she lived right over here on Yandell, 1721 and a half Yandell. She was a part of a little duplex when they moved out of the barrio. So my family has been in this area all along. My father finally opened up a grocery store, started the first Big 8 stores because there was 8 men who were basically from Middle Eastern opened up the Big 8 stores. And so anyway, my family's been very steeped in the welcoming spirit. Today I brought some of these prints and some books that I have here that I illustrated, written by Luke Lonefield, which is all about a little boy in El Paso. He's kind of a little Anglo boy, but he's starting to learn that where he lives is on this border, because many of the kids in El Paso don't ever go to Juarez now, especially if you're 5 and 6 years old. So in these little books, his grandma lives in Juarez. He goes, they buy a piñata, and it's real big, it won't fit in their car. They borrow a fire truck, and they put this big piñata, and then they come over to Kern Place, and he celebrates. And for the first time, he goes across the bridge, and it takes him 3 hours, and he buys a popsicle and some toys and stuff, and he's like realizing that there's lots of different people, lots of different shapes and sizes, and they all have their story to tell. And so he becomes enlightened that he lives in this place that he didn't even know because he lived in Kern Place. So these are stories that Luke Lowenfeld wrote and that I illustrated, and we have copies of them here. I'm just so happy that y'all invited me. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Importantly also, Mr. Marcus has offered to share some of the proceeds from the books. So if any of you buy the books, then it'll also help our organization.
Thank you.
So that concludes our speakers for the evening. However, we do have additional local artists who contributed artwork to be exhibited tonight, also along the theme of welcoming. So we invite you to take a look around the lobby as the artists play throughout this area. Joining us here tonight is Kristen Apodaca in the audience there. She brought the piece Tres to be exhibited, and it's back there, right? Yeah, right back there. In that little area. Gabaldon, who is also joining us this evening, brought Bienvenidos Lady Liberty to be exhibited. So we also, as we mentioned, invited some student artists to come along. So at this point, we'd like to invite you to walk through the student art exhibit. So you'll have some guides that'll take you through the hallways, through this door, through the hallways, and back out this way. So you'll walk through to get those. We're gonna give you a gold star, and we ask that you stick a star on your favorite of the 15 student art pieces. So we will have a People's Choice Award at the end. We've invited all of our local artists to be judges in this student art show. So at the end, we'll also present some awards to those student artists. So once you make your way through the exhibit, you'll come out this door, and then we'll invite you to enjoy some light snacks and refreshments while we tally up all of those votes, and then we'll announce the winners. So please enjoy the art.